Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Playbook Live. I am your esteemed host, as per usual, Daniel, and I have my equally esteemed co-host with me, Nephi Clark. What's up, boys?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, nah, it's been a long time, bro. It's been such a long time. I think our last recording was like in May, if I recall correctly, May 2nd, May, June, July, August. Yeah, 3 months.
Yep.
Nephi, I know you went to see the recent United games in Vegas, and I can't remember what the other one was. Can you imagine?
Yeah, New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah, bro. Yeah, how was that?
It was good. I was talking to Ethan about it. Like, the New Jersey one was good, right? We won, beat Arsenal. It's a preseason, I know, but it was good to see the boys live. The Vegas one was kind of disappointing. I had.
Was that the Dortmund one?
Yeah.
Oh my days, yeah. Man.
and I had like the good tickets in that one. I was close to the field in that one. But they lost. It's preseason, but man, I would have loved to see us, win that one.
Yeah.
But still.
The Vegas one was when we beat Arsenal, right?
No, New Jersey will beat us now. Yeah.
Vegas
we lost to. Yeah.
Where did we play Wrexham? Where was that?
That was in San Diego. Yeah.
What was the Real Madrid?
Madrid was in let me not get this wrong. Texas.
Yeah.
Houston, I think.
It was
Dallas.
Texas.
I can't remember. I know it was in Texas. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
so
it's good.
We're a week out from the Premier League coming back. Obviously, we've all seen our teams on preseason. We're talking about United right now. We lost to Wrexham. That was like our under 21 team though. So
Yeah.
Lost to Real Madrid. That was a tough loss. I'm not even gonna lie.
That was really hard.
I was really excited for that game. We just beaten Arsenal, and I thought, you know what, Madrid are gonna get it. I was like, we're gonna touch them up, and that was disappointing. And then Dortmund, I haven't been paying too much attention to Liverpool's preseason. I've been keeping my ear to the ground. Though. I know Liverpool drew like 4-4 with Stuttgart.
Yes.
And then lost 4-3.
Yes.
You were 2 goals ahead, if I remember correctly, then lost 4-3 to Bayern in the end.
That's right. Yeah, it's been a weird preseason, I'd say, for Liverpool. We've conceded a lot of goals. Just a lot of issues maybe before the season starts. That whether they're taking it seriously or not. That second division German team, I think, right, Stuttgart. I don't think anyone was really expecting that on a Liverpool perspective.
Conceding 4 goals. I wasn't expecting. I mean, losing 4-3 to Bayern and conceding 4 goals.
Yes.
I mean, that's Bayern Munich though.
Yeah.
But I didn't think. I was kind of surprised when I saw the scoreline after the Stuttgart game.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes into a little bit of like what we would want for the transfer window, right? Like I think it kind of asks a couple questions, and hopefully we'll be able to see some changes being made before the season starts. But I mean, it's a week away. It's not that far away, and we have to be careful because we look at other teams that have been playing right now. Man United, even Arsenal. And
they beat Barcelona 5-3.
Right. Yeah.
They're friendly.
Yeah, and Man United beat Arsenal. So you gotta really ask the questions, right? Like how are Liverpool going to do against these clubs? And I think it's a little bit worrying, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
I think just before we obviously, as I said, the Premier League restarts in a week. Just before we fully get straight into Premier League talk, bro, it feels like the season just ended yet last week.
Oh, man.
And then we're right back into the grind again. Bro, the Community Shield is literally tomorrow, right? Yeah,
yep.
Tomorrow, City Arsenal. Who do you guys predict is going to win that game?
Arsenal.
Who?
Are you taking the piss or are you going to say
Arsenal?
Oh,
Arsenal's
wow.
my vote.
Wow. Man City.
I mean,
yeah. Especially if Arsenal are going to play Kai Havertz in their midfield.
They're
going to get
bro,
cooked.
I don't know if you watched the United Arsenal preseason game. Bro, they played a midfield 3 of Rice, Odegaard, and Kai Havertz as your midfield 3.
Yeah.
In what world is that going to work?
Yeah. It's interesting. I've sometimes questioned what Mikel Arteta's been able to achieve at Arsenal, and some of his tactical awareness to some players. I'm really curious. I really am. I think we'll see a little bit of light on, especially Kai Havertz. I think that's kind of the biggest topic. We know kind of how Declan Rice plays.
Yeah.
We know kind of what to expect from him as a player. But Kai Havertz is kind of in this like mystery, right? Because at Chelsea, he spent a lot of time, playing at that forward position, and he hasn't really played anywhere else.
For like 2 years, yeah.
For 2 years, and you think that some players would maybe just adjust to that position, and they wouldn't do very well anywhere else. But I think Arteta's got something up his sleeve. I don't know. Arsenal look dangerous.
Well, for Havertz specifically, he better. Like,
yes.
How much did they pay for him? I think it was north of 60 million.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too. I don't want to like go too far into like the tactical and like stylistic aspect of how he fits into Arsenal, but I'm not sure I see how he fits into Arsenal. I mean, I know maybe I am a bit, maybe I am a bit short-sighted in the way I'm assessing the situation, but like as you were saying, Havertz at Chelsea only ever played like as a striker, or as a false nine, or as an attacking midfielder. But he played like further up the pitch, right? Yeah. He's coming to an Arsenal team where in Odegaard is the captain, he's the leader, he's the star player.
Yep.
And that that's his position. Havertz's best position is already being occupied by the captain, so he's not going to displace Odegaard from the team. Okay, the other position he could maybe play like up front as a number 9. Yep. Gabriel Jesus is there. Eddie Nketiah is there, and Havertz out wide doesn't just seem or look particularly effective from how we've seen him play out wide at Chelsea. So I feel like when you consider how much was spent for him, I feel like Arteta has to find a way to start him.
True.
You can't spend that much money on someone who's going to come in and be a squad player. But yeah, I don't know. That's a problem for Arsenal. But we're gonna just get into just discussing our Premier League preview, our Premier League predictions before the restart next week. Just top 4, potential winner. Who else? Who's going to get relegated? Relegation contenders, Golden Boot. Who else? Player of the Year, and also I wanted to discuss like which traditional top 6 manager could potentially get sacked first. Yeah. I think before we get into that, I want us to discuss I'm a United fan. Nifa, you're a United fan. Yeah. You're a Liverpool fan, Ethan.
I am.
Obviously, being fans of these specific clubs are like specific analyses on these clubs could be a bit maybe blinkered and maybe biased potentially. But I do want us to discuss our expectation for the new season for our teams.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Fabinho. We've seen what I would describe as a midfield exodus at Liverpool this season. Fabinho, Henderson. Milner wasn't necessarily a starter anyway, but still, he was a captain. He was like the vice captain, right?
Captain.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was still a leader in the dressing room. He had significant influence in the dressing room. And you've lost Naby Keita as well. That's 4 players. If we want to move away from just midfield, Firmino as well. So there has been some sort of exodus at Liverpool this season, and Szoboszlai has come. You've made some good signings.
Yeah.
I like McAllister. I think anyone who's seen him will like him. He's a very good player.
Very good.
I think for a player like him to start consistently for Argentina at the World Cup and in the World Cup final, just speaks volumes about his quality. I think he's a very good player. Szoboszlai is also a very good player. So that's 2 quality players you've brought in, but you've also lost Fabinho too. You're yet to bring in a defensive midfielder. You arguably still need more and perhaps better reinforcements. Just assessing your preseason, your transfer activity this transfer window, just taking all that into consideration and looking forward to the new season. And just trying to be as realistic as possible. What are your expectations of Liverpool this season?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because I think for a lot of Liverpool fans, and I want to say even for Jurgen Klopp, and for the squad. I don't think the departures of Fabinho and Henderson were something to be expected. We knew, of course, about Firmino, right? That was communicated before the season ended, and Chamberlain, Keita, all of these other players. But as you said, Henderson for me is a top player. He's that leadership quality is exactly what you need in a dressing room. Sometimes it can be the difference maker in a league, right? Like, I mean, in a cup, right? It's a one-game situation. In a league where you're playing 36, 40 games, right?
Season, yeah.
It's a lot, and you need that one person that can pick you back up when you're going through the rough moments in the season. Everyone goes through it. Everyone goes through their up and downs, respectfully. I think there's a little bit of a worry there. I do think that, of course, McAllister is great. I think that Shabazai will also bring a lot of quality into the team. But the bigger questions really come down to, is there enough depth? We've lost 7 players in the summer, signed 2, and most of those 7 were from the midfield area, right? Like, if one of our midfield players get injured, that asks questions.
You already have an injury-prone Thiago.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's true.
And Bajcetic, he's also coming back from injury, and he's also young. Same with Curtis Jones.
Yeah.
And you can't put too much expectations on kind of these younger players, and you need that more experience, the Milners, the Hendersons, even the Thiagos, to kind of play with them and give them that confidence. Realistically, I do think we'll still be able to achieve top 4. I do think that there's a couple late signings that we'll make. But I think top 4 is about as good as it gets.
4.
Yep.
Top 4. Just as you were talking there, I was gonna ask you a question. Do you, as we've already established, you've lost a lot of midfielders this season. Henderson, Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Do you agree with? And I know maybe he was powerless in some of these situations, but do you agree with Klopp's decision to let all these players go at the same time? I understand maybe having to let go of a few. I know Oxlade-Chamberlain kept having his injury issues, and maybe it wasn't feasible or sustainable for Liverpool to keep holding on to him. So obviously you were going to have to let go of some of them, but you agree with letting go of Fabinho and Henderson in the same window. I mean, do you what do you think about that?
Yes.
Do you think Klopp could? And I know with some of these players, obviously, there's a lot more to consider. There's the financial implications, especially when you consider the offers they got financially, the financial packages they received from the teams they left to join. But do you perhaps think Klopp should have fought more for someone like Fabinho to stay, for someone like Henderson to maybe stay at least one more year?
Yeah, I think definitely there's room for Henderson, right? I think that was one that I would have kept at least for another season. Gave it just that little bit more time for the team to adjust. Right, you've lost not only now your captain but also your vice captain.
Yeah, in the same window.
In the same window.
It's going to be a tough transition.
It is, yeah, and of course, Van Dijk is a natural leader in himself, and Trent is now the vice captain of the squad, and I'm happy for Trent. I do think that sometimes. It's not as simple, right? A lot of people just think that you put an armband on, right, and say you're captain and all is good. But I think there's a lot more that goes into that, on and off in the dressing room. I would have probably kept Henderson for maybe another year. If we get Lavia, I think the Fabinho leaving will be a great transfer. I think that will be a great transfer. The money that we got for Fabinho, considering Lavia's age and the money that we'll spend into Lavia, it will be a great option. It will be a great replacement. But that's if we get him. That's the big question.
How's that situation looking? Last I saw, the most recent reports I saw were that Southampton had rejected one of your. Was it your first or your second bid? I don't
Third,
remember.
yeah.
Third bid.
Third bid.
Okay, yeah. So Southampton had rejected your third and most recent bid. So
that's right. Yep.
Are you optimistic about that?
I'm not. I've heard that Liverpool are going to maybe prep one more bid for Lavia, and kind of just give it the end of conclusion type of thing. There is another Brazilian midfielder that we've been looking at as well. I do forget his name, unfortunately, but he's also young, and we could get him for about 20 million. Just doesn't have that Premier League experience to him.
From
in Brazil.
In the Brazilian league.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there's a lot of talent, and people have described him as being a little bit more aggressive, right? More into those tackles, a lot like maybe Casemiro for United, and that's pretty exciting. The one thing though is players coming from different leagues, I think, have a lot longer of a time frame for them to adapt.
Especially if he's that young.
Yes, 100%. And we've seen that Lavia can prove himself in a squad, and so my personal choice, even with that Brazilian being cheaper, would probably be Lavia. So I'd put in that final bid. I'll just give Southampton what they want. We got a good amount of money from Fabinho. Just seal the deal, get it done.
Yeah, I think especially considering like the ages of these players, you almost you have to pay extra. You should be willing to pay extra for that added layer of Premier League experience that Lavia will have over the Brazilian.
Exactly.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, new vice captain.
Mm-hmm.
I think Van Dijk being captain, I don't think that would have surprised anyone.
No.
But I don't know. Maybe because I, as a United fan, maybe compared to you, who is a Liverpool fan, I reckon I don't consume as much Liverpool geared content as you do.
Yep.
And so in that context, I perhaps am more of an outsider looking in compared to you.
That's fair.
Who's a Liverpool fan, but
Yep.
I was. But yeah, looking at it as an outsider, as a United fan, so as an outsider, I was slightly surprised to see Trent Alexander-Arnold being given the vice captaincy armband. I don't know. I just expected maybe Mohamed Salah would get it. What do you think about that?
Yes, it's a fantastic point, and I actually also question this as well. The reality of how much can Trent make a difference in a game, right? Like, how often do you really see him talk in a game? I don't know how much that happens, right? I don't know if he's the vocal type, maybe behind the scenes. But the reason I like it, the reason why I'm not opposed to the idea is because Trent's from Liverpool, right? He'll back the fans, right? He'll back the team, and he has a passion for winning. He's a Liverpool supporter.
He could potentially, if for someone who could potentially spend the rest of his career at Liverpool, he could, and being from Liverpool, it's almost expected that he's going to become captain one day.
Correct.
So so I guess when you're looking at it from that lens, you could perhaps, that situation becomes a bit more palatable.
Agreed. And I think the fact that he is vice captain now gives him just that little bit of time to grow. I think he's been lucky to have the likes of Henderson around as kind of as a close mate, right? That have shown that leadership, and he can then present that to all of these younger players. And I think he's starting to do that. I think he's really kind of starting to step up the play, and that'd be really interesting. With that responsibility, does Trent become an even better player than he is now? That's a bigger question, right? Does he hold more responsibilities? When he lacks dropping on some of those counter-attacking plays, will he make that effort? Will he be the first person to move? You know what I mean? It's this the leadership shadow is something that I've been looking into. It's quite interesting, but that's something that I think we'll see from Trent.
Moving on to, of course, the other
United
represented on the panel, Man United. Nephi, 2022-23. What are we thinking? Eric Ten Hag, Man United, Mason Mount, Onana, Højlund.
I really think they've been good signings, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's fixed kind of like an issue we've had like for a long time. Like, I know I saw a quote about how like Eric Ten Hag has like built our spine or something, because for every position he signed someone, right? Like from Onana, Martinez, like Casemiro, like up to a striker, right? And he's also signed like a winger too, and but like it's the only way Ten Hag doesn't succeed at United is if these players don't buy into his philosophy. And that's the issue we've had at United for a long time, is like our like Man United players sometimes just refuse to be tactically sound, like, and it's been really nice this preseason seeing them. Like, I enjoyed, like, I think I sent you a text. I was like, man, like seeing the build up when we push up high with the ball, like, how we set up and how we like defend, and it's all tactical now. It's not like last season or the season before.
Yeah, where it just felt like inshallah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it just felt like vibes FC.
Yeah.
Honestly, bro. Under like I love Solskjaer, man. He's a legend. But under Solskjaer, that's how it felt we played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was just all vibes.
Yeah.
Like I remember under Solskjaer, whenever we had like a Europa League game and we had to rotate the squad a little bit. You know, we'd always play badly.
Yeah.
It always
Yeah.
felt under Solskjaer. It always felt like we had to use our best players in every single game.
Yeah.
You know, the moment we made like 1 or 2 or 3 rotations, you know, the whole system crumbled.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a very
Yeah.
interesting point. I think just going back to Erik ten Hag succeeding, I do think for its worth though, I think he has gotten most things right up until now. The obviously the high profile removal of Ronaldo from the team, the stripping of Harry Maguire of the captaincy, and you know his replacement in Bruno Fernandes, who was the obvious choice. I think Ten Hag has gotten most things right up until now, and I think considering his first season, considering the fact that he performed way above like most people's expectations, I think Ten Hag has enough credit in the bank, regardless of what happens this
Yeah.
season. Okay, where do you see United finishing like
That's
at the end of the season?
Just what-
top 4, or do you think we could potentially go toe to toe with Man City?
I feel like I don't think it's going to be another like, and I know like this is kind of bold as a United fan, especially what we've had to deal with for the past like 7 years, saying, but I don't think it's going to be another like Van Gaal or like Mourinho or Ole. I really think Ten Hag has what it takes to be successful at United.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I feel like he has the players too, because I feel like bringing in like the likes of Casemiro, you know, Varane was already there, like, and Bruno has stepped up. Like, you know, people like Rashford, they look more hungrier, like, you know, for goals, like, you know, some players still need to do better, but like Martinez, like in your defense, and the one for me that will go down as one of the greatest signings in Premier League history, Onana. I agree. See, no matter the slander that comes our way for Onana, like Onana for me will go down as one of the greatest signings ever, because to move, Man United has never had a ball-playing goalkeeper in our history. Like, you know, never. Like, it's never been an issue to us. But this is what modern football demands, like modern soccer. Like we need a ball-playing goalkeeper.
And I think as well, I'm trying to be as objective as possible whilst at the same time being as optimistic as possible. I'm going to predict that we go toe-to-toe with Man City.
Okay.
Maybe not toe-to-toe in the sense that we match them like game for game like Liverpool did like 2 seasons ago. But I think, and this is going to lead into it's going to lead into and partly give away part of my Premier League prediction.
Yeah.
But I think United are going to finish comfortably second, at the very least. Even if we don't like go toe-to-toe with Man City every single game. I think, you know, I don't think we're going to have another season like this most recent one where, you know, we're like fluctuating between 3rd and 4th and fighting for top 4. Yeah. I think we're going to finish comfortably in the top 4, and I think we could finish second.
Okay. If you looked at like last season, right? It's our issue was even like, you know, wasn't our home form, right? Wasn't our defensive record, right? Away forms.
Yeah, it was our away
we
form.
could not win big away games. Like
we got pumped against Liverpool.
7.
7.
What was
that was nice.
Ridiculous. Like 7-0.
What makes you a great team is that progress. Every season you have to progress, right? Like, you have to have progress from where you were. Like you look at Pep's first season, and you know, you now look at Ten Hag's first season, right? It's over, right? You know, and for me, Ten Hag has had it worse than any manager in his first season.
Yeah,
the players he had to deal with in his first season, players he had to get rid of in his first season,
the drama with Ronaldo,
with everything. Like, you know, he easily could have lost his job last season if he didn't deal with it right. Like, easily, like, you know, with the De Gea situation, we almost gave De Gea a new contract. We literally had to take it back.
Like the team, like the board, literally gave De Gea a new contract, but according to the reports, it had to be approved by Ten Hag first, but Ten Hag refused to.
And you know, it was probably wise for us to wait until the end, because then we saw the FA Cup final. Like, no one watching that would think, give this guy a new contract. Like, you know, and again, club legend, but it was time, right? You know, and I feel like this season, like what Daniel is saying, I really think we need to be second, right? And I really feel that's where we're going to end up, like consistently second. I don't know if we're going to go like, because I don't know if we're there yet, because City is at the level where Pep has established his it's like a religion, right? They already know what to do. I don't know if our players are like there yet, but I feel like if we're not second this season, then man, that's just disappointing. Absolutely disappointing.
I agree with that. I think we could fight City for the title, but I doubt we're going to be able to match City's consistency. To be honest, and so I think second is a more realistic expectation. And honestly, I think anything below second is going to be a disappointing season.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think when you consider like Højlund, Mounts, a fantastic signing, by the way.
Yeah.
Like a fantastic upgrade on Eriksen, and I love Eriksen, but I was watching him in the preseason game against Real Madrid, so like his legs are gone. Obviously, the Onana upgrade and De Gea, and apparently we're still in for another midfielder, Amrabat. Potentially.
Hopefully we get
potentially. I think, and like you said, I think Ten Hag has restructured the spine of Man United. He's signed crucial players in each position, but not just crucial players. He signed leaders in each position, and that's something we lacked for such a long time. Now we have, like I know he's just come in, but Onana, like if you listen to his interviews and the things he says, like Onana is such a strong character. Such a strong, mentality. Determined character has such a strong mentality. Same with Lisandro Martinez. Same with Varane, Casemiro. They've won. Varane, Casemiro, they've won everything you could possibly win at club level. Same with Bruno. And then you have players like Luke Shaw, Marcus Rashford, who are in their own, who are growing in their own. And I think that's also a very crucial aspect, because as I said before, United lacked proper leaders on the field for such a long time. And I don't know what that could mean. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, real quick on United, like, just because I want to just put it, like, if there are only two positions I think that are going to ruin us this season, if these players don't behave, our right back and our right wing position. I just wanted, like,
Anthony needs to fix up.
Like, we need our right backs and our right wingers to just, like, if they're good this season, consistently good this season, everywhere else is covered. We have good players everywhere else. Yeah. That right wing and right back, Dalo and Wan-Bissaka is like they're playing who wants to sit on the bench. Because
I don't bro, Dalo just got a new contract. I don't know what he's doing, brother. Like, well, you're going to be sold, brother. Like, fix up.
Like, no, I just need those two positions. But yeah, that's it on United.
I think tactically too. Like, I'm sure you listen to that interview too. There was an interview that came out a few weeks ago where Ten Hag was talking about how he wants United to play, and he was talking about United's tactical history of counter-attacking and being quick and dynamic on the transition, especially. And I think obviously that also shows in the profile of players he's getting. And I know we were talking about it like a few weeks ago before recording, obviously, and we're talking about how like Ten Hag's Man United isn't going to necessarily be a possession-based team. Ten Hag isn't looking to control possession. And I remember saying like Ten Hag United this season under Ten Hag will probably look closer to like Klopp's Liverpool of 2017-18 or 18-19 than to like City or Arsenal, who just like to monopolize and dominate possession.
Yeah,
and I feel like obviously possession control is kind of like the buzzword now for hipster football fans. Everyone wants to control possession, but I do think this obviously is in part to understanding the profile of players he has, and like understanding his players' strengths and weaknesses. And I think when I think about United playing that way, and I think about Liverpool, with how they utilize that sort of gegenpressing, quick on the transition philosophy, and how things maybe look to be changing now. We saw last season Klopp inverting, everyone's using inverted fullbacks these days. Mm-hmm. Klopp inverting Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Finally.
Yeah, to play to like Liverpool 2017, 18, 2018, 19. With Firmino, Mane, Salah, their wide forwards who tucked in and the fullbacks who bombed forward. It looks like we are seeing a shift in that with Liverpool this season.
We have,
and especially like towards the back end of last season, where Trent tucks into midfield. I think it's going to be interesting how Klopp adapts his Liverpool team. Tactically, I think it's going to be interesting to see if they continue with that Trent as in an inverted role or go back to their tried and tested and trusted formula. I mean, they have McAllister and Szoboszlai now. They have two new mid. I think so a crucial part of their gegenpressing system working so well was the tenacity and aggression and dynamism of their central midfielders, which is something that waned obviously as the years went on. But they've got in players like McAllister and Szoboszlai, two new, younger, arguably fitter players than their replacements in Milner and Henderson. So I think it will be interesting to see what tactical shape Liverpool take this season. But just moving forward with our predictions and preview, I want us to discuss our projected top four first. Let's start with that.
Okay.
Going from fourth up, and then fifth and sixth.
Fifth and sixth as well. Okay.
Yeah. So, who wants to go first?
I'll take it away. I kind of have. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I think I may catch a couple people by surprise. So, forgive me for my surprising call-outs here. So in fourth, I am going with Man United. Actually, I thought about that quite a while. I know.
No, you're taking the piss. Second. You're taking the piss. What?
I'll kind of explain why. So, as most of you know on the podcast, I do like to give myself some very risky predictions in things, and I think United fourth. Is
I heard him thinking about it, by the way. I just walked away. I was like, I'm just going to wait for him to drop it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, fourth. I honestly think that United are going to collapse a little bit, to be honest. I don't think there's enough depth in the centre-back positions, and I don't know if Mason Mount is going to give enough. And then I don't know about the striker that they signed. I don't know if he's got the quality to be able to match like the Salahs, the Kanes, the even Haaland, right? Like I just don't know if he has that in him as much. So we'll see. I think that they're the kind of question marks that I want to see from Man United, and I think, respectfully to them, I think they've fixed a lot of problems, especially in the dressing room. If you talk about, a few years back, I think they were a big mess, a lot of toxicity within the dressing room. And I think a lot of that is gone now. And I think that a lot of that is due to the changes that Ten Hag has made. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on the internal side of things. Third, I'd go Liverpool. Second, Man City.
Okay. Let's pause. Yeah, let's pause. You want to give yours. This guy producer. Yeah, they're blowing my brain.
Yeah, go on.
You don't want it to let him finish. It's almost done.
That's almost done.
Just tell us who's gonna win it.
Okay.
Who's gonna win for you?
So the team that's going to win the Prem, it will be Arsenal this season.
Oh my days! Wow.
We're gonna have to clip. We're gonna clip our predictions.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
please
definitely
do. Yeah,
that.
please do.
Yeah. Wow. Nifa, you want to go ahead?
I had him for. I honestly just real quick. I couldn't decide between Liverpool, Spurs, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Chelsea, or Brighton, right? Who's going to take that? I think those teams are in for it. Why I put Liverpool in that position is because I feel like it's going to be hard for these new players to really come in and gang press. I have my opinion on gang press. I don't think it's sustainable in the long run. I feel like you have to have a balance of when to press and when not to press. Yeah. And for me, Klopp just doesn't have that balance. these players sometimes don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to sound like, because I'm a Man United fan, maybe I sound too biased, but like that's the issue. That last season they felt kind of tired because you've been
That's
pressing
it.
for like how many years.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a time where like you need to start. I don't know. We'll see if Klopp is going to adapt this season, right? That's what we're giving that extra edge. You know, he's shown
Yeah.
that he can adapt by playing Trent inverted. So I'll go Liverpool fourth. I'll just say
Okay.
Liverpool because I know like with the players they have, I know they can do it. Like, I know
Yes.
they can be fought. Like, you know,
Yes.
it's the teams they are going up against are, you know, but I just want to see if they can adapt, right? I don't know. But like third is going to be Arsenal. I
Okay.
feel like from coming from last season, they played really good. Arteta is going to be consistent with his play and style of play and everything. But again, Kai Havertz in your midfield is not going to get you the Premier League.
That's fair.
Like,
I think Manchester has to solve that Kai Havertz conundrum.
Yeah.
He has to figure out where best to utilize Kai Havertz in
Yeah.
that starting 11. Because in midfield three of Kai Havertz, Declan Rice, and Martin Odegaard, I don't see how that works. I think that midfield three is going to be left so exposed.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw him in preseason, like against Man United. I've seen their games, like Kai Havertz, and one thing Arsenal fans say, oh, we brought him so he can make those late runs into the box and everything. And Kai Havertz, perfect player for that, 10 over 10. But the defensive work, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get the running back. You're not going to get the, and that's what you need in the midfield. You need some people that are willing to put in that, agility. And Kai Havertz, sometimes he just walks. He's just a bystander sometimes. He doesn't really want to, And so that's why I feel like they're going to be third. Obviously, like I said earlier, United is probably going to finish second. I feel like it's going to be another, stepping stone. Hopefully, miracles happen and they get it real quick. But it takes a miracle to kind of.
I'm optimistic.
yeah, me too.
Optimistic.
The Hag, he's done that to me. He's made me believe.
Yeah, Ten Hag has worked magic on me. He's worked wonders on me. Eric Ten Hag is a magic man.
But I think Man City will be first. So Man United second, Man City first.
I think
Yeah.
we had similar, or if not the exact same prediction. I put Liverpool fourth for me. I think Liverpool are coming off the back of a catastrophic season by their standards. I remember the season after they won the Premier League, during the COVID season. The season after they fell off, but then they came back immediately the following season. But then I feel like there's so many differences between this season and the last one, in the sense that back then they still had the main core of their team. Van Dijk was still playing really well.
Yeah.
He was still in really good form at the time. They still had, they brought in Thiago too. They still had Henderson was playing well at the time. James Milner was playing was good. Fabinho was playing really well at the time. They still had Firmino, Salah, Mane. I remember they even brought in Luis Diaz as well, and then Mane moved to play in a more central position. But I think now, there's Firmino, Salah, Mane, they've lost 2/3 of that front three. I think they've lost practically almost their entire midfield from 2 years ago. They still have Van Dijk, Trent, Konate, Matip, Robertson, and that's great, and that's good for them. But I think we started to see cracks in Van Dijk's game last season.
Yep.
And I think it will be interesting to see how that shapes up this season, in the sense that it'll be interesting to see if it's something he can bounce back from immediately, or if he's actually factually, definitively, unarguably now in a definite decline.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see that. I think with their front three, Gakpo, Nunez, Jota, Diaz, Salah, they're all good, but Salah is the only one there who is a proven consistent performer. I think Nunez, Diaz, Gakpo, I think the rest of them are far too inconsistent for me, for Liverpool to be able to mount any sort of sustainable or feasible title challenge. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy was like, oh, he expects Liverpool to be right back in there, competing with Man City. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. I don't think you're going to be able to just bounce back immediately again. I don't think that's going to happen. So I put Liverpool fourth.
Okay.
I put Arsenal third. I think they had a very good season last season, obviously. I think Arsenal surpassed all expectations last season.
Okay.
But I think it was between United and Arsenal for third and second for me. And in my head, I thought, who do I think will go on to have the better season? And just being a bit optimistic, I think United will go on to have the better season. I think, as I said before, and I know maybe I was being a bit too eager, maybe a bit too optimistic initially. But I don't necessarily think United will fight City toe to toe for the league. But I think United Arsenal will finish United second, Arsenal third. And I think it could be tight between them. I think there could potentially end up only being maybe a 2, 3, 4 point gap between both teams.
Yeah.
But I put Arsenal in third. I have United in second. I think this is going to be. I think, as I said before, I think Ten Hag has enough courage in the bank from last season, no matter what happens this season. But I think Ten Hag has gotten most things right, and I expect that trend to only continue.
Okay.
Even he's going to make a few mistakes. Everyone does, but I don't expect any of those mistakes to be so, horrific, to be so catastrophic that they, significantly significantly affect United. Just generally this season, I think United will still end up finishing second I think anything below second for United is for me personally, I think anything below second this season is I think you could class it as a poor season.
Yeah.
I don't think we can have another season where we're scraping for top 4 again. I think we need to be, even if we don't go toe-to-toe with City for each and every game week, I think we need to be comfortably up there, like City and Arsenal were last season, where City won the league obviously, and by a significant margin of Arsenal in the end. But Arsenal's position in top 4 was never questioned. It was never under threat. Last season when we were discussing top 4, it was always United, Newcastle, Liverpool, Brighton. It was even though Arsenal didn't win the league, their position in top 4 never really came under threat.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to. That's the type of season we have to have this season.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can have that season if we're finishing third. I think that type of season only happens if we can finish second. And I think City win the league again this season. I'm optimistic with Man United obviously, but I don't know if I really see any other team coming close to Man City.
Yeah.
I don't think Liverpool will. I think in seasons past, I think Liverpool and City were very close. But I think there's been such a huge drop off in Liverpool over the past 12 to 18 months. I think Liverpool. I honestly think you could argue that on the pitch, Liverpool are probably behind even United. I think you could honestly, feasibly argue that. I don't think, Arsenal are good. Arsenal are perhaps the other team who could possibly mount a serious title challenge to Man City. But I do still think they have a lot of mental hurdles they have to overcome before the possibility of beating City to a league title even becomes a reality. I think if you compare both our squads, United and Arsenal, I think you could argue United have more winners in our squad, more than more players with that winning experience. When you have people like Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Martinez, Onana, Rafael Varane, and I mean, with Arsenal now, I know they're trying to sign David Raya, right from Brentford. So I think Arsenal still have a lot of mental hurdles to overcome if they ever are to realistically usurp Man City, atop the Premier League table. So I still think City take the title from me. And 4 titles in a row is going to be incredible. I don't think even Fergie did that.
No.
Even in his best years.
I don't think so.
So hopefully it doesn't come true. Hopefully Ten Hag can work another miracle, but that City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool for my top 4, and then for my 5th and 6th, I went That was kind of tough. It was between Chelsea, Newcastle, and Spurs for me. I have no faith in Spurs.
Me neither.
I,
Sorry, Spurs
I
fans.
think Postecoglou he's the unknown quantity in the traditional top six. I think these other managers are Arteta, Ten Hag, Guardiola. These are the top six managers. They all have enough credit in the bank with Premier League fans, with people who with people with knowledge of the Premier League. I think Postecoglou is such an unknown quantity, and when you consider how inconsistent Spurs were last season, I think it's as an outsider looking in. Spurs fans could perhaps try to be optimistic, but as an outsider looking in, I think it's difficult to predict any sort of a successful season for Spurs.
Yep.
I in the end I went for Chelsea 5th, Newcastle 6th, Spurs 7th. I think Pochettino is a good manager, and I think Chelsea will be better off for the Pochettino hire. I think for the Pochettino appointment, at the end of the day, though, it's going to be very difficult for any manager to come in and do any worse than Chelsea did last season. But I think Chelsea will reap the rewards of the Pochettino appointment. I think I highly rate Pochettino. I remember I wanted him at United before we got Ten Hag. I know he didn't do well at PSG, but it's PSG. Not many managers go to PSG and do well anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Chelsea could do really well this season. Newcastle, it was tough for me between Chelsea and Newcastle. And, you'd maybe expect it not to be, considering Newcastle were significantly the better team last season. But, they're back in the Champions League for the first time in like 20-something years, I think.
Yep.
I think, they're used to playing a game a week. And I think, back in the Champions League means more games, more rotations, possibly more injuries. And I think that volume of games could potentially take its toll on a Newcastle squad that I don't think has enough quality in depth. And I think that could come back to affect their league position and like cause a drop-off, a slight drop-off in the league. Chelsea, on the other hand, don't have any European responsibilities this new season. No Europa League, not even the Conference League, not even the ignominy, not even the embarrassment of the Conference League. Like, they're just not in Europe. So that could be embarrassing, but at the same time, it could be a blessing in disguise.
Yep.
In the sense that, a game a week could take a lot of pressure off of players who already are under a lot of pressure. So.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because my predictions are roughly about the same. So, Chelsea 5th, Newcastle 6th, mainly just because of, again, Newcastle being in the Champions League, and then Chelsea, again, just not having any of those additional games. I think will help them a lot. Yeah. And they have a new system that's going to be a bit more fluid, I think. So I'll definitely go with those two. Spurs, I don't think they'll come 7th. I think they'll be further down than that, to be honest. I mean, realistically, the way that I see it is
bro, you hate Spurs.
Look, man.
This guy hates Spurs.
Look, I have a good reason for it. I promise. All Spurs fans, you'll understand. But Harry Kane leaving, and I think he will leave. I do think he will leave.
I think
Harry Kane leaving will have a big impact on Spurs. Yes. The amount of goals that they'll score, I think they'll find pretty tricky. And they'll become. You just can't really rate them, in my opinion, any better than what Newcastle, Brighton, and all these other teams have done. And that's the surprise of the Premier League, and that's why I just can't put my backing behind Spurs. Yeah. And so that's for me. I don't know about you as well, Nephi.
I think real quick, just touching on Spurs.
Yeah.
Did they finish 7th or 8th last season? I'm trying to remember.
No. Yes.
Thereabout.
8th.
Thereabout.
Brighton was 7th.
Thereabout. But I think, and that was despite or in spite of, all of Kane's goals.
Yeah.
I think without Kane's goals, they probably could have been looking at a mid-table finish.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, same thing. I'm just thinking as you guys are talking, like, because I didn't have Spurs too on there.
Yeah.
So I'm the only one with Spurs.
Yeah,
I believe in you, Tottenham.
I did talk to Ethan, and I spoke about how like I feel like they're gonna play better, right? He's a really good, like, from what I I've seen. I don't follow the Scottish league, but I've seen like videos and I've watched their preseason. And
Bro, Steven Gerrard came to Aston Villa from the
True.
Scottish league,
It's true.
and he completely,
Oh, Gerrard is.
botched it at
Yeah,
Villa.
it's-
My
it's true.
goodness.
And he was
Oh.
winning titles in Scotland.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
So honestly,
So-
like, that's
Oh.
part. That's
that's tough.
yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yes, that is true. But yeah, I definitely don't have Spurs. I really think this is a make or break season for Eddie Howe, right? You know,
Yeah,
and
that's a very good point.
if it wasn't like, I know they're not part of like the original top 6.
Yeah.
I would have like I would have like be more focused on like talking about. I know we had a conversation about how, like, who's going to probably lose their job first.
Yeah.
I
Top
would
six
have had
managers.
Eddie Howe on there, but
Yeah.
like, because I feel like Newcastle are gonna slump a little bit this
I
season,
agree. I think
and
they will.
they have money. They're just gonna go get a
manager.
I'm not saying Eddie Howe is not like a good coach, but
Yeah.
there are world class coaches out there.
Yeah,
and-
it's kind of with the
Yeah.
same thing with Man City. Like when you get taken over by billionaire owners, it's there's a rebuild, but it's in stages.
yeah.
They're in the stage right now where Eddie Howe is the right man. Eventually they're going to reach a stage where, to keep competing with the heavy hitters, they could potentially have to let go of Eddie Howe and go bring in someone better. Yeah.
So I think Newcastle will probably finish. I think they'll probably finish 6th, right?
That's
Because
right.
of that, and I feel like Chelsea is going to finish 5th. I feel like Chelsea have a really good like team. They're young and everything, but like I think Pochettino, like you were saying, is a really good manager. And just watching them, I feel like they'll be able to get points from those other teams that they play against that they couldn't last season. I don't think they'll be able to get points from the rest of them above them.
From the
Like,
big
like
six,
yeah,
yeah.
but I feel like they'll So I'll say that. Yeah.
That's
So
a good point.
Chelsea 5th, Newcastle 6th. Okay. City, I predicted City to win the league. You said City. You said Arsenal. That's a very
Arsenal.
interesting prediction. Arsenal. Honestly, like, I reckon not even Arsenal fans expect their team to win the league this season. But very bold prediction.
Very bold.
prediction. Well, I was gonna ask for our predictions on the Golden Boots winner, but
Yeah.
does anyone have
Go
anything
on.
to say aside
Say
Erling
it.
Haaland?
Say
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Does anyone
Say
have anything?
Erling Haaland. There you go.
That's an easy one.
I mean, come on, Mo
yeah.
Salah might do it. I don't
Yeah.
know. Just kidding.
Nah,
Haaland's
not this
got it.
season.
Yeah, we'll skip over
Not
that.
this
Yeah,
season.
We'll skip over that.
Player of the year, yeah, probably gonna be. I mean, if Haaland's winning the Golden Boots, then I reckon he's gonna pick up. I know this seems like lazy analysis, but like honestly, it feels like there's no other answer. Like Golden Boot winner, who else besides Haaland is gonna win it?
Yeah.
Who else besides Haaland could realistically win it this season?
I think it's a really
Player of
good
the year?
question. It-
No, Golden Boot.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
both,
Oh.
but like Golden Boot first.
Golden Boot, yeah, definitely
Yeah, Haaland.
Haaland,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Okay, player of the year.
Player of the year, I question that a little bit, and the reason why is because I'm pretty hopeful. I know that there's a lot of attention that's given to strikers when they score goals. It's like, every award kind of goes their way, right? But I really want Arsenal to win the league, and I really want Declan Rice to have an outstanding season with them. I really want him to kind of set that expectation. He's a leader. He knows how to play his game, and I hope that Arsenal don't give him a lot of stick and he can start his season off really well. So I want him to be my team of the year, player of the year,
For
as
me,
well
it's,
as team of the
for me
year.
it's Bruno.
Declan Rice,
For me, it's Bruno.
Bruno
Yeah,
Fernandes.
Like
Yeah.
I really feel like this season is going to be Bruno's season. Like with a striker,
Yeah.
right, obviously, but also like even if we have
Definitely,
Rashford
yeah.
playing it or like whoever is playing it, I really feel like Bruno. And again, I'm a United fan, but like if you watch Bruno this morning, like
I
like
know he was on some this morning.
how does
Like,
that guy
bro,
get 20 assists this season?
Those balls he played,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I really feel like Bruno is going to take it up a notch with Højlund, like coming in for Man United.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
agree.
he's a great
Yeah.
player.
I agree. I think I put mine Haaland, Bruno, and this might be a bit of a shock, but Marcus Rashford. Hear me out. Sure, hear me out.
So,
Bro,
Marcus
I feel
Rashford.
like obviously Rashford had a fantastic 2022-23 season. So this last season, was it 30 goals in all competitions he scored
yeah,
or
yeah.
thereabouts?
Yeah,
I think.
steady.
I don't know. I feel like I just feel like Marcus Rashford he's an incredible player. I think most football fans recognize that he's an incredible player. but I still feel like he's very much underrated. It still feels like he's underrated in a lot of football circles. Like Marcus Rashford is a left winger. In my opinion, like the only players in this position that are arguably better than him are Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. Like I think Rashford is well and truly now like hitting that world class category, and I think last season was obviously such a great season, and I think he's only going to improve on that this season. And like with Bruno in form now, and if he's playing with a striker, which playing with a striker in Højlund will take a lot of the burden off of him, where in the sense that Højlund can maybe occupy defenders a bit more, and Rashford can just get in behind and do his thing.
Yeah.
So I have Haaland, Marcus Rashford potentially, a bit optimistic I know, but still, and Bruno Fernandes.
And De Bruyne too, for the because I have four of them. Those three are De Bruyne, but I think I hope Bruno win. I hope Bruno is the one.
Yeah, actually, Player of the year is probably a bit more debatable.
Yeah.
Not the Golden Boot though.
No.
Player of the year is a bit more, especially if Kane leaves. I feel like Kane is probably the only, in terms of like the Golden Boot discussion. I feel like Kane is probably the only person who could compete with Haaland.
Yeah.
And if he leaves, then there's no one else.
Yeah.
Mo Salah came close. Did come close.
About like 20 goals, away. But,
Yeah, we'll see.
So that brings us to the end of today's episode. A very solid, enlightening discussion. The Premier League restarts obviously in a week. Who's? I think it's City Burnley for the first game, right?
Yeah, Friday.
So.
Yeah.
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Friday. When do Liverpool play? I know United play on Monday.
1 p.m.
I think I want to say Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember though. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quick.
On our next episode, we'll discuss which top 6 manager, which I feel will be a very interesting discussion.
Sunday, Chelsea.
Which top 6 manager
Spurs
potentially gets the sack first. But yeah, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Big ups to Nephi and Ethan for joining today. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And to everyone watching, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Do all of that. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you all.